So what we're going to do today is we're going to be making toasted cheese and tomato and eggs for breakfast. And the first thing that we're going to do then is look at doing the preheat. And to do the preheat, we're just going to warm up the egg cups that we're going to be using. And we'll be putting the eggs in here. So what I'm going to do is open up the air fryer. We're going to put those two in to preheat. Once they come out of the preheat, we'll then warm up the toast for the toasted cheese and tomato. We'll warm that up a bit, and once the toast is almost done, we'll then add the cheese and tomato and do the final on those. And all the while that's happening, the eggs will be at the bottom and they'll be cooking away. So to get started then, we're going to do a preheat, and the preheat we're going to do for 5 minutes at 180 degrees. In fact, we can probably, I'll just leave that for 5 minutes, that's fine. Right, so let's get that going. In the meantime, what we need to do is slice up the tomato and slice up some cheese for the cheese and tomato. So, here we have a nice tomato. Slice that up. Right, so that's probably the last piece that I'll get out of that. Right, so tomato done. Now what we need to do is slice up some cheese. We're not going to slice up that much. Right, so here we have a little bit of cheese left. So we'll just slice up a little bit of this. Use that cheese and tomato. So right, so that's looking good. A couple of pieces of this delicious cheese. Trying to cut as thin as I can. Not that possible with this small piece, but right, so that should be enough for the 2 slices, I think. Maybe a little bit more. Right, so there we have the cheese done. Now what we're going to do is just wait for the preheat to finish. So we've got a bit of time to go there, and then we'll get the show on the road. See you in a bit. Right, the preheat's done, so we can get everything ready for the eggs. So we move that out of the way. Just going to cut some butter here. So we can use that in the egg cups. Right. And we're going to try that out. And then drop a piece of butter in that one. Drop a piece of butter in the other one. Right, so that's just going to help to ensure that the eggs don't stick to the side. Right, so with that in place, now what we can do, of course, is add the eggs. So what I do is I just break the egg into a cup, and then we just pour that into the holder. Let's do the second one. Right, so that's the eggs done. Right. Okay, now with the eggs done, what we can do is add the next piece that we're going to be focusing on. So I'm just moving them out of the way. Right, now what we're going to do is look at just making some toast. And to do that, what I'm going to do is, that's going to be a bit high, so I'm just going to lay them flat here next to each other. As next to each other as I can. And we're going to put that in. And we're then going to just up the temperature to 200. And we'll probably take that out after about 2 minutes. And then what we'll do is get it ready for the tomato and the cheese. And to soften the butter, I just move it here to the back of the air fryer. Some warm air coming out, and that just helps to soften the butter for when we need to apply it to the toast. So great, see you in a bit. Right, so the toast has been going for a while, so we're going to just let's move this out of the way, and let's have a look and see how that's coming on. So the eggs are coming on nicely, and the toast is looking good. So let's just take that out, and then we can start assembling the toasted cheese and tomato sandwich. So I'm going to use the back of the spoon here for the butter. Just spreads easier. Make sure that we don't break the toast. Never understood why a butter knife doesn't have a rounded edge like this, because quite clearly it's the best way to apply butter without damaging toast, unless there is one, and maybe I missed that. Right, so here we have our buttered toast. Right, now we can start assembling our toasted sandwich. So what I'm going to do is, with that out, we're just going to pop a piece of toast down there. And what we can do is just move the egg around so it's exposed to more heat. That's about as far as that one's going to go. Right, and then what we can do is apply the tomato. We have a lot of tomato here, and then we can add some cheese. So that's all going to melt really nicely when I put it back. And now what I do is I'm just going to put the top back on, and that's going to melt very nicely together, and by the time that's done, the eggs will be done. You'll see that the eggs are already partly done, so not too long to go now. And we slide that in. And we let that go. So we're going to let that just go for another 2 minutes. And then we should be just about done with the eggs and the toasted sandwich. Right, so the first batch is done, and as you can see, that's looking like a really good toasted cheese and tomato sandwich. So if we have a look, very nicely toasted. And then the eggs are perfectly done, so we can get the eggs out. So to get the eggs out, then I'm going to remove this and put this down. And then we're able to remove the egg cups and get the eggs out. So put that down. And then let's just take a spoon, or a fork in this case. Oh, these eggs are absolutely perfect. Slide that egg out. And the second egg out. So there you have it, perfect eggs and a beautifully looking toasted cheese and tomato sandwich for breakfast. So I'm going to take a closer look at that now with a little bit of a tasting. And what I'm also going to do now is I have enough cheese and tomato for another toasted sandwich. So what I'm going to do then is get another toasted sandwich going. So the first thing that we do is we just get the bread lightly toasted, and once that's done, then we add the rest of the ingredients. So to do that, slide that out, and we need to bring back the grid here, and this grid we're going to use as a toast holder. Right, so we'll just put that in there, and we'll just get those lightly toasted. If you find that it's not standing upright, just move it closer to the side, and then it'll have the support of that edge. Right, so let's do that, and we'll make it 200, and we're just going to do that for a quick just 2 minutes to get it going. Right, let's have a taste here. So let's have a look at the eggs, and you can see that the egg is perfectly cooked. Perfect. And then let's give a taste of our toasted cheese and tomato. And as you can see, a really nice consistency. Tomatoes are just right, and the cheese is just perfectly melted. Very good. Now what we're going to do is get some coffee going. So we have our coffee pot here. We're going to get some coffee going, and then we're going to make another batch of toasted cheese and tomato. See you in a bit. Right, so we have our toast ready to be prepared for the toasting. So I'm just going to add some butter. And it looks like the coffee is brewing nicely. Once again, use the back of the spoon. I know it wreaks havoc on the butter, so there we go, nicely done. And nicely done there. Right, so that is almost ready for the oven. Coffee is ready. So our coffee is ready. We've got our toasted cheese and tomato coming together here. And it's a rather big piece of cheese. Perfect. And as we've got a bit of tomato left, we're just going to pile it on here nice and thick. And then we place that on top. Back in, and then we're going to 200, and we're just going to do that for 2 minutes, and that should be good to go. Right, so time's up. Previous eggs and the toasted sandwich are done. So what we can do in this case, so that side is toasted really nicely, nice and crispy. Let's turn that over. And now what we're going to do is just do a little bit from this side, and we'll do that, and we're just going to do that for a minute, and then we'll be good to go. Right, the toasting is done, and you can see we have a fantastic toasted sandwich here. So, looking really good. And just to look at that consistency, we'll just give it a slice open. Right, so there you can see nice cheese and tomato, and ready to go, and nice and crispy. So that wraps up making the eggs, the initial toasted cheese and tomato, second toasted cheese and tomato, nice cup of coffee. What a great breakfast. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching.